Shikha Pandey, welcome to the podcast. We've been talking about getting you on the show for a while, and I've always really loved watching you bowl and watching you play. As someone who's of Indian origin, I never really had female role models growing up, so it's really exciting to have someone from India, and you're the first Indian cricketer to come on the podcast too. So you're currently in Goa at the moment and played some of the domestic leagues in India. How have you found that in the last few months?
Firstly, thanks a lot, Bobby, for having me. I've been following your podcast really very intently and probably have been very vocal about it as well. I'm huge on the mental side of things, and it's really nice to have a fellow women cricketer have a podcast and, to listen to other cricketers and other athletes' story as well. So, firstly, thanks for having me. It's likewise. Also, yeah, I mean, just got back from Australia. Was very lucky to get back and play cricket alongside my state team. State teammates, I love playing alongside them. Yeah, so have played a good 10 odd matches for my state side and then went on and played challenges, which is a level closer to, playing for India. Saw a lot of young talent coming through. So yeah, it was really exciting. And I've always maintained and I've always thought that every game that I play, I learn so much. So I learned a lot during this domestic tournament as well.
That's awesome. And in terms of the pathway in India, it's not super clear in terms of a big, like, there's no IPL yet. We're in Australia, we have, like, you start in your club cricket, then you get to representative state cricket, and then WBBL, and then Australia. But in India, it's not always been the case for a long time. It's starting to come in now. So when you were growing up, what did it actually look like? So if you were when you were about 10 years old or something, where did you have to go and play for India?
To be very honest, I actually hadn't started thinking of playing for India till then. I would watch a lot of cricket, yes. I actually fell in love with the sport as a 5-year-old kid, actually because my father is an avid cricket lover. But I was mostly into studies. I was very good in academics, and I would play a lot of gully cricket. Gully cricket is a form of backyard cricket, like you Australians play. So gully cricket, I would be the only girl. I had a boycott playing alongside boys. It was just a mode of enjoyment for me. So I consider myself very lucky because I was 19's kid. So the only way I could have fun was to go out and play cricket with my friends. The only way I could meet them was on the cricket ground or the play field, which is not the case now. So as a 10-year-old, as a 5-year-old, when I started playing cricket, all the cricket that I learned was from watching cricket on the telly. And like you said, you started off, you did not have any female cricketers or female athletes to look up to. I mean, it was pretty much a similar case with me. As a kid growing up, I thought I was the only girl playing cricket because I couldn't see any other girl playing cricket around, and there was hardly any coverage of women's cricket on television. So as a kid growing up, I had mostly male cricketing idols, Sachin Tendulkar and all of them. So it was just gully cricket for me. And whenever I speak to younger kids these days who are 8 or 10 years old, I actually tell them they have an 8 year advantage over me because I started playing cricket when I was 18, which is really very funny. I started learning how to play cricket professionally by a coach when I was 18, a leather ball cricket. And with my state in Goa, we had district level cricket. So first you play for your district selection matches, then you play for your state side. In a lot many other states, you have club cricket as well. So you play for your clubs and then play for the district and then go on and play for your state side. So it's getting better. Probably the 2017 World Cup, it was televised and all of that. There's such a huge influx of girls, young girls coming into academies to play cricket, and it's all about getting the coverage. So for me, I actually, like I said, I'm a late bloomer. I started playing cricket very late. So it was just watching telly. And once I started playing cricket, the first year I played the under 19. I've just played 1 year of under 19 cricket. And the coach back then said, "You're really good. If you can I still remember, if you can go on and play for India, why do you want to limit yourself to just playing state level cricket or zone level cricket?" And that is when I saw the challenges ahead. And I realized that challenges kind of encourage you to go further. And so that's how I started playing cricket when I was 18. And then in 2 years' time, I was playing against England A side. I was part of India A playing against England in 2010. So yeah, the journey just started from there.
That's really interesting, and something I noticed when I was lucky enough to go to India and visit Bangalore in the Karnataka Institute of Cricket. They've got so many young girls there, but a lot of their roadblocks came from they were the lucky ones almost because they were allowed to play cricket, but they spoke so much of family or friends that were restricted in the old school mindset of either you've got to study more and stop playing so much cricket, or as they got older, it was now it's time to get married, or you've got to do your finish your studies. And I'll remember forget there was this one girl who was about my age, so she was mid to late 20s, and she was honestly quite terrible. Like she was no good. But 6 a.m. in the morning, she comes up with her kit, biggest smile on her face, and so excited to play and to train. And I was like, what's going on here? Like she's not that good, and she's older. And she just said that I always wanted to play cricket when since I was a young girl, but my dad said that I wasn't allowed. I had to do my studies. So she did her studies. Then he said once I finished my studies, he said you have to do a postgraduate. So she did that. And then he says you have to get a job. So she got a job, and she goes, now I've finished my studies, I've got my job. So I come here before work and I come here after work. And it just completely like shocked me. But so many stories where girls aren't allowed to do what they love and follow their dreams. Were you someone that was really well encouraged by your parents? And I've heard you talk a lot about being a dreamer. Has that continued through as you progress?
I would say I was very lucky with the support system that I had in place. We are a family of four. I've got an elder sibling. And my parents, the kind of support that I got from them, I wouldn't be here sitting talking to you if it wasn't for them. So, like I said, my father also was big on studies, probably because he's a teacher himself. He's a retired teacher. So the very simple funda at home was you're allowed to do whatever you want, but you need to finish your homework first and you need to finish your studies first. Also, because we come from a very humble background, my parents are originally from the state of Uttar Pradesh, which is up north, and they had faced a lot of hardships while they were studying and while they were growing up. So they always wanted a better life for their kids. So we were told, my father is of the opinion that education is something that's going to stay with you till the time you die. So he was always very huge, when it came to studies, and he was very he made sure that we were very responsible as students. And my sister and I both were CBSE students. I mean, we, like I said, I was a 90 percentile in my 10th and my 12th. I had a peer group which was fully into academics. So I still would play cricket. Like I said, I was allowed to do whatever I wanted. I loved reading, so I was allowed to do that. I was allowed to do anything that I wanted, but it was only after I finished my studies. And gully cricket would continuously happen every day. I still remember even during my 10th and my 12th standard exams, I would still go out, play cricket with the boys, and then come back again and study for the exam the next day. So that was the routine every day. And like I said, the kind of support system I had in place, like my father and my mother, they were so open-minded. Also, I would give a lot of credit to the state that I grew up in, Goa. People do not really distinguish or differentiate between a girl and a boy. So I was given the same opportunities, which is not the case in a lot many other states. And girls going out and playing cricket is still not heard of in lot many other states. So that way I was very lucky. And also to have an elder sibling, I mean, I still remember when I had to decide about what I wanted to do, whether I wanted to continue with cricket, or I had gotten placed into multinational companies, whether I wanted to go ahead and take those and start working. My sister said, uh, she wanted to become a doctor, but unfortunately she couldn't because of the competition that was there then. She said, I was not able to pursue my dreams. She has a dream. Let her at least go behind and, let her pursue her dream. I mean, it'll be really good if she can. So she was the one who actually supported me, and she's already working. So she played a really big role in persuading my parents in letting me do what I wanted to do. So yeah, I mean, even today, every time I go on tournaments, we have these calls over the phone. So these are like these newsroom chats, wherein my sister, my father, and my mother from the same house, and they are on different WhatsApp windows, chat windows, and we talk. So it's purely because of the support system I had in place. When I was doing my studies in college, I actually for once thought that why did I choose to do a professional degree alongside playing professional cricket? And it was so difficult. In my second year, I still remember I had missed out on my 4 semester papers, exams, and I had to write 10 together in my fourth semester. And I was thinking, why the hell did I choose this? And my father was the first one to get up in the morning and give me my bed tea. And in the night, he would be the last one after me going to bed. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, without them, I wouldn't be here.
Absolutely. And it's amazing how similar your story is to mine. Even though I mostly grew up in Australia, it was my parents are always education first, education, like make sure you do your studies, which I actually definitely agree with. In hindsight, at the time as a 14-year-old girl, I just wanted to tell them to shut up and just go out and play backyard cricket with my brother. But do you think that grounding has given you so much more perspective when we look at actually playing cricket now, where particularly in India, where I just only assume it's all consuming cricket, 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 and especially with you, you come home after traveling a lot, everyone's talking to you about cricket. I bet it's on the TV too. That perspective of having the educational background and having an identity away from the game, has that actually helped you both on and off the field, I suppose?
I guess it's played a huge role. I still remember as a kid, like I was talking to you, I don't remember studying for any exam without cricket commentary in the background. So there would be constant cricket commentary in the background. I'll still be studying. I would literally forget about my exam the next day because cricket would literally take me to a world which was far more happier, in which I was far more happier. Uh, as a kid growing up, also when I debuted for India in 2014, for the first 2, 3 years, I think I had this philosophy of cricket is life. Till then, I would always think everything that I do is related to cricket. Everything that I do has to involve cricket in some way. But then as I grew older, I realized that life is cricket, yes, but so much more. And education, I think, played a really important role in me understanding it. Also, I think as a person, it's about ownership. It's about accepting who you are. So I'm someone who is from India, and I'm different from 90% of the other people who play cricket, probably because of my background, because of my education. And for me to accept who I am and how did I get into cricket and how much I love cricket was very important. And education kind of gave me so much, made me understand that there's so much more to life than just cricket. I have so many more interests which do not involve cricket. I like reading poems. I love writing poems. I like reading. So I've got so many other interests which are not cricket related. And I think sometimes switching off from cricket is so very important. And as I've grown older, I've realized that I cannot be thinking about cricket 24 hours. So now it's mostly about thinking about cricket as I enter the field and as I get off the field. After that, I need to understand that uh, I don't need to think about cricket so much. Education has helped me to maintain that life balance, I would say, which is very important because initially I was this cricket man girl who would only talk about cricket and think about cricket. But now I realize there's so much more to cricket, and education has helped me have that well-rounded personality, I guess.
It sounds like you're almost talking in hindsight that you have that perspective now, but prior, when cricket was life, as you say, how did that negatively impact you?
Uh, so there were times that I got dropped from the team. I've spoken about this before as well. So uh, now when I think about those times, I would think, oh no, what's going to happen now in my life? So there was this always this baggage that I would carry about something that has happened in the past. So there have been instances where I'm playing a three match series. I've played the first match, not done well, and till the third match, I'm still brooding about what I did in the first match. And I and now when I think about it, I actually maintain diaries, and I kind of, if I'm going through a lean patch or I'm not doing well, I literally go back and read what I was doing at that time, what I was thinking, and what my thought process was. And when I look back at those things, I realized that during the third match of the series, I was still brooding about what I did in the first match, which might sound funny now, but at that moment, I didn't learn to stay in the present and forget about what has happened in the past. And then I've had conversations with some really learned people. I've been very fortunate to have some mentors. And then when you talk to them, the first thing that they say is, you need to understand that you're a human being. You will not be you will not always be perfect in whatever you do. So you need to cut some slack to yourself and give yourself some space. So now when I've not done well in a session or in a spell, I still remember and I understand that I can come back and do well in the next spell. So that was probably one of the things that I realized. And like I said, my family is such that everything that we do is very cricket related with the conversations we have. So literally when I'm coming back from tournaments these days, the first thing I speak on the phone to my mother is, let's not talk cricket for a few days. And she goes, and the first thing that happens as I enter my house is a cricket match happening. And it's like, come watch the match, it's so interesting. So that's how my family is. And I understand they also take the bump a lot, many times on the road alongside me. Uh, and it was very difficult at that time. But then I learned so much from all those experiences. My self-worth was related to what I did on the field. And I realized it was not helping me. And like I said, as I grew older, I've got some very good mentors. And I realized that whether I do good in terms of my performance on the field that day or I do bad, I should be the same person off the field. That's one thing that will stay with me for my life. Irrespective of how I do on any given day, I should be the same Shikha Pandey off the field. And another thing, which has helped me with all of this is having this term that I take a lot of pride in, virtual blinkers. So now I do not, I kind of concentrate on what I'm supposed to be doing. As a youngster, like I said, I'm someone who always wanted to know what's happening around me, what's happening here, what's happening on the social media. I like to be well informed about sports or women's sports in particular. I am someone who's like that. But then I literally had to take this decision of curating my social media in such a way that I was only listening and reading about stuff that I wanted to listen to. And during tournaments, I would be off social media. So I had to do so many different things to help me do what I do, and understand that journalists or anyone who writes about the sport is doing their job. And initially, as someone who's just gotten into cricket, I would want to get back to the hotel room and read everything that was written about and what was written about me. And I would take it to my heart, not understanding that it's their job to do. So yeah, a lot of takeaways from all those moments, and it was very difficult. But I guess I'm still learning how to get better at it. But then yes, I think trying is succeeding.
That's amazing, and I think in the last 5 minutes or so, you've just about ticked off every possible aspect of what it takes to become a really resilient person. In terms of the first aspect, and I assume all of this is in hindsight, so you have to go through the tough parts to learn everything. But what stood out to me, there are a few aspects. The first one was accepting that you're imperfect, and it's actually, so it's not about trying to then be perfect. It's actually more just accepting that you're always going to be imperfect. And the next part that ties quite closely, I think, is you mentioned you're not there yet, so you're never going to arrive at this place where you actually get it. Like it's a journey, and you're continually learning all these incredible things. And then, so that I suppose is the journey piece. But the other piece, which would be really cool to dive into, is when you said focus on being present. So the third game, you're still brooding about the first game. And you said it sounds stupid, but I'd love to find a single athlete, businessman, doctor, or anyone in the whole world that doesn't do something similar, where you've made a mistake or you had a poor performance or a bad day and it lingers on for some time. And a lot of people or anyone in this space talks about staying present, and easier said than done though. So the ability to actually block out a lot of the noise is really, really tough. Do you have any strategies that have helped you over time learn to actually let go of all the noise and the distractions and be where your feet are and concentrate on the task at hand?
Uh, like I said, curating my social media feeds was one thing that I started that with. I would literally not read anything that I thought would affect me or affect my thinking. It might sound very primitive, but it helps a lot. So that's one thing that I started doing. Also, another very cliche thing that a lot of us talk about is thinking about the controllables. I mean, I guess every single interview that I've read, I actually like listening to interviews. I've listened to probably all the interviews that you've taken. It's about thinking about and spending your energy on things that are controllables, that are in your hand, rather than thinking about what the universe is going to do to you. So it's just about doing that perfectly. And also, I think one another thing that has helped me a lot in terms of my performances is again related to criticism. So initially, I would think, why? How can they talk like this about me? And and then when I spoke, and then I realized that as a sports person, with you playing cricket on and it being televised, 100,000 people are going to have 100,000 opinions about you. So, and not everyone is there to praise you; they'll criticize you. But then you are going to take criticism only from the people that to whom you're going to turn to advice from. So if I'm going to speak to you, Bobby, about my game and what is happening and all of that, so I should be ready to take criticism about my game from you, because I am going to take advice from you. So that's another thing that I have realized, and that has helped me a lot, that I should not be worried about what XYZ is talking about. As fans, yes, you do give a lot of weightage to their support, but then again, it is about taking criticism only from people who you're going to turn to for advice from. So that's another thing that has helped me a lot.
What about in a game? So when you've got ball in hand, and say if we take an example, you've actually been left out of a squad. You come back, you have the opportunity to play again, opening the bowling, even in front of 87,000 people. How do you then bring yourself back to what's important now?
Um, it is difficult, and I get asked this a lot. But then once you are in the cricket field, probably the only time that you're actually interacting with the crowd is when you're in the outfield. When you're bowling, you zone out. I mean, I have experienced it, that I actually zone out. Sometimes I'm not even listening to the fielders who are inside. And then I have to literally make an effort to, kind of, okay, fine, I'm in the moment. I need to, keep speaking to my captain who's standing at mid on, mid off. So that's something that I do, but you literally zone out. And I mean, it might sound very funny, but I've not literally there. My friends have come for matches, and I'm standing in the outfield, and they tell me that they've been shouting my name the whole day, and I've not heard them. So probably it's just with me, or probably happens with a lot of other sports person as well. You kind of zone out, which is not always a very good thing always. But then, yeah, I mean, that's how I am. And also on the part that you spoke about, how was I able to kind of get back during those times I was not doing well and all of that, I realized, I mean, every time that I've gotten dropped from the team, there's something that I've learned and I've kept it for life. So one of the things that I learned was I was very result oriented. So I would say I would get back to my hotel room, look at my stats, and if the wickets column was empty, I'll say I didn't do anything. But then I started realizing once I got back, one thing that I changed in my mindset was I needed to be process oriented rather than result oriented. If my process is going right, I might not get the results right away, but they will come. And I still, I mean, giving you a cricket example, I bowled a spell of 5 overs against West Indies. It was a day-night game. I just got 1 wicket in the spell of mine, but I think the ball just came out beautifully off my hand. I took 3 wickets in the World Cup opener against Australia. I don't think I bowled so well. So there are days that you get wickets off full tosses, and there are days that you bowl a beauty, and it's just the bat. It's so good that the batter doesn't get anywhere near it. So that's something that I've learned from when every time that I've gotten dropped, there are these things that I kind of add to my diary and I take them along.
That's brilliant. And it sounds like you're someone that's very reflective, in that you're constantly talking about your learnings and what you're taking forward. And, oh, I did this and I learnt that. And you're constantly reflecting on what you're doing and how you're doing it. Do you do much in terms of not just reflecting on your on field, but also positive psychology, things like gratitude or empathy, kindness, all those sorts of things?
I'm huge. I mean, this time when I was playing alongside my state teammates, we just all of us got together and we started talking about your favorite cricketing moment. And then we kind of had these over Zoom calls. So because we had a 5-day quarantine before the tournament, and everyone came out with things like when I scored this much, and when I scored this, and then there was this girl who came out and said it was the first time I was with the senior women's team. I was an under 19 cricketer, and for the first time I got selected. I just fielded in the whole game. I didn't get to bat, I didn't get to bowl, but I enjoyed it so much. And one of my favorite memories from my cricketing career is when we won play championship finals. It was a T20 game and we were playing in the Eden Gardens and it was against the home team. I scored a zero in that game and we still won that game. I mean, not still won that game, we won that game. So I think for me that was happiness. Even though I did not contribute, I took a wicket, I guess, and I did whatever I could on the field. But for me, those small moments when you're working as a team, irrespective of your own personal milestones, that moment made a huge impact on me as a person. And whenever I speak to all my teammates, this time I was the captain of one of the sides, and the first thing I told them is cricket. Cricket is such a great game. Firstly, because it's a huge, I mean, it's a great leveler, and secondly, also because it will give you great friendships that you can treasure. I've made so many friends just because of cricket, not just as teammates, but as other people, local liaison officers. I've made some huge friends on that front. And then I tell them I will not remember a teammate of mine for a 5-wicket haul or a 100-day score, but I remember them for the times that I needed them and they were there for me. If I needed to cry, they lent a shoulder to me. So that is something I'm really huge on. And I guess as a cricketer, you can play only till it's physically possible for you to play, but those friendships and the memories that you create on the field are going to stay with you for your whole life. So with the COVID situation and with so much happening around, I think I'm blessed in more ways that anyone can even imagine. I was able to stay home and do what I wanted to do, where there were people in India struggling to even, find the day's meal. So really blessed and privileged on that front. And yeah, I mean, I'm always filled with gratitude just to be able to do what I do.
Absolutely. And again, you've touched on something really interesting there, which I think when you're coming through as a youngster, or even the public or the people that are sitting on social media criticizing, they tend to base success on the external achievements. So, like the fact that you got a duck in that game and you remember it as one of your best game, like most treasured memories, externally and the way we're traditionally taught to view success, that doesn't make any sense because you got a duck. But in reflection, you're the memory. I can see it in your face. For those that are watching the video anyway, that you just light up when you're talking about it. So genuinely, it lives in here. It lives in your heart. Whereas when you're a youngster, when you're out of form, you think, I've got to score hundreds, I've got to take lots of wickets, I've got to get my degree, I've got to even get married or have this home, and you think that's when I'm going to be happy. But it sounds like for you, you've really found a cool little spot where you recognize that your happiness or your success comes from having those magical little moments and also those really close relationships and connections.
Um, yes, I mean, like I said, it is still work in progress. These are the things that I want to do in life. Always, I mean, it's not possible always. I understand, I completely understand it's a materialistic world. So I was talking to a friend of mine just recently, a course mate of mine, whom I met after a long time. So we meet and he goes, "What was that?" So I said, "What are you even talking about?" So like, "What was that ball that you bowled?" So I said, I don't know. I mean, I was actually sometimes at cricketers, we are so receptive or we are so, we get criticized a lot. We can actually not take appreciation. We don't know how to react to appreciation. So I was embarrassed. And then he goes, you know what, but then if it had to hit the top of off stump, it would have been even better. And I was like rolling. I'm like in India, everyone is a cricket pundit. And to have course mates, friends, and family like that keeps me humble. And then again, I realize whenever I'm preparing for a tournament, there's something that I do visualizations. So I actually have few videos of mine that I see where I've bowled really well. And I think about what I was thinking during that time and all of that. So everyone remembers ball zero, delivery 0.2, but no one remembers the delivery 2.4, which I bowled to Mooney, which I think was a ripper. Just because it did not fetch me a wicket, no one even talks about it. So when I was sending those videos to my bowling coach, I sent four deliveries, I think, from that match, which I thought were really good. And probably there are only a few people who understand that what I was looking for and what I was able to achieve, and not everyone will understand what I was meaning to say, or what I was meaning to talk about. So it's just that, like I said, materialistic world. So your sense of happiness, my sense of happiness for that matter comes from my sense of success comes from happiness in those small little moments. If I've been wanting to bowl there and if I'm able to fox the batter, that's happiness right there for me in that one small moment. And to be able to enjoy my teammates' success, because in a team game, I think everyone achieves, your team wins only when everyone does well, and you are there to be happy for your teammates' success. So that's another thing that I've always believed. So when you're in the present, enjoying those small little moments is what happiness to me is, what success to me is, and not thinking too much about what's going to happen in the future, what will happen in the next tournament, what will happen the next day. With me, it is probably about one session, one spell, one over, and one ball at a time. Because then I believe in short-term goals. Initially I would have long-term goals. I'm going to be achieving this. Never worked for me. And then I realized I'm someone who's better off setting short-term goals. So now it's just that one ball at a time, and that how can I bowl the best ball that I can during that ball.
Absolutely, and you mentioned in there your bowling coach that you stay in contact with. You obviously would have a really strong support network in terms of when you're traveling with India. But do you still touch base with your personal coaches or those that you had growing up?
Yes, I mean, I do keep in touch with them, but then depending upon, like now, I the bowling coach that I work with, he's someone who's really big on the mental side of things, and he says at international cricket, I guess there is not much difference between your skill set or your talent. You're there because you're good enough. He keeps saying that it's just about the mental setup, and it's about who is mentally strong in that moment will win the battle. So yes, I mean, I do keep in touch with my mentors and my coaches because with international cricket and the pressures that it brings along, you need a really good support system in place. Yes.
Absolutely. And if we talk about going back to that little girl from where you are now, you're very wise in what you're saying. You've obviously been through some pretty tough times, which have led to some really incredible learnings. If you go back and talk to that little girl and had one piece of advice for her, what would you say?
I would just ask her to enjoy the sport more. So in 2018, after I got dropped from the World Cup side, the T20 World Cup, which happened in West Indies, I kind of went back. I was very lucky because we had a domestic tournament to play, and I was going back and playing in my happy place. I was playing alongside my state teammates. And then there was this question that I asked to myself, that why did I start playing cricket? So I started playing cricket because that 5-year-old girl in me loved the sport and was not and just played the sport for the enjoyment part of it. So then I told myself, every time that I play cricket from now on, I'm going to enjoy no matter what happens on the field. I will make sure that every little thing that I do on tours is for my enjoyment. And by enjoyment, I mean just a small little meal that I have, which I like. I'll make sure that just because I'm not done well doesn't mean I'm not going to go back and enjoy that meal that I can. So small little things, like I said, it's just that I'll tell her to enjoy the sport more and not run after perfection. I guess trying to gain excellence is also one way to lead your life, and that's one thing that's going to help me in the long run. So yeah, just enjoy the sport more.
Absolutely. And in a similar vein of questioning, what do you hope that this next generation coming through get right?
Uh, I don't know. I sometimes feel, even with me, I'm an overthinker. I used to be an overthinker. Still, like I said, with everything that I speak, it's work in progress. I just hope the sense of belonging is there. Because when I speak to a lot of youngsters right now, um, maybe because I'm a nerd and I love cricket, any cricket that's happening around. I've even watched uh, matches on apps which are of no consequence to me, just to because I love the sport so much. And I would just want them to learn about the women cricketers of the past. That's one thing that I think is missing with a lot of youngsters now. Uh, and I can't really blame them, because as a kid growing up, it was the same case with me. But then I made sure I read a lot. I speak, and even now when I speak to Juludi and I speak to a lot many other cricketers, they have these incredible stories to tell, and it's fascinating. I mean, for us, we are living in a generation where you get paid for what you love to do, but with them, it was not the same. They probably continued playing cricket because of the passion that they had and for their love of the sport. So uh, if in some way they can kind of educate themselves more, and there's so many books. I mean, there's this thing for me. There's this essential reading for the youngsters coming up. So those books should be there with them, because then the sense of gratitude, like I said, which I'm really huge on, will come in, and they'll understand that whatever they are achieving today is probably because of the work that was done beforehand by so many women cricketers who've not gotten their dues. So that's one thing I would like them to have.
Absolutely. And speaking of books, do you have maybe two or three, if it's too hard to name one, that you think anyone that it doesn't have to be in cricket, but anyone that's looking to be a dreamer and to go after what they love should read?
There's this book called The Courage to be Disliked, which is my favorite. I mean, it's one book. It might sound funny, but every time that I read that book, I understand the same stanza, the same paragraph in different light.
Yeah.
And then I carry it along with me most of the tournaments when I'm on tours, and I'm amazed by what the same stanza means to me now than what it meant to me probably a year earlier. So that's one book that I always carry. There are many other books that I like genres that I like reading. Biographies and autobiographies are one. I'm currently reading All In by Billie Jean King, a huge fan of hers. Was fortunate to meet her in 2020 World Cup. Not the best day for us, finals. But then, yeah, I mean, it was, I consider myself so fortunate to be able to just stand and have a picture with her in the same frame. So she's another person that I look up to. So yes, reading that for now. There's so many books that I read. There's another novel by Nathan Lehman, I think, The Test. I just love that novel. It's fiction, but it has so many things. So every time I read it, I'm like, wow, it's about a cricketer's journey and a cricketer's life. So yeah, there's another book that I reread now a few days back.
I still can't believe you said courage to be disliked, because that would be my answer for that
Oh,
question too. And I read it once, maybe 2 years ago, and I handed out at least 5 copies to my friends. I was like, "This is amazing," but I'm now rereading it currently, and exactly what you said, in that I'm having to read only 2 pages. It's small chapters, right? So a little bit at a time, because so much more is actually sinking in, and how profound that book actually. And I'm not actually, I know I'm a nerd, but I'm not actually a big reader. So I know I'll listen to a lot, or I might listen to an audiobook, but it's more podcasts. That's me. But that's one book that I've been spoken about a lot. And I know Viv Paver, who's been on the podcast, you may have listened to him. He raves about that too as his book that he'd recommend to anyone. So it's really cool that you said the same one.
I've
And
also gone ahead and told a lot of people to read it. I've actually convinced two of my friends to buy it, and they're like, "Wow, it's a nice book." So
yeah,
yes,
yeah, I just love the way it's written as well. So it's like the philosopher and the young kid who's coming in and asking questions that we would actually all have, because it
yes,
completely uproots the normal way of thinking.
yes,
In that it's particularly the cause and effect part, where we think as cricketers that, or athletes, that how I've done in the past or how I did the game before should affect my mindset now. But it's actually no, you can choose how you want to be now. It's actually a
yes,
choice. It's irrelevant of what's happened. You're just choosing to protect yourself by, yeah, talking about the past and trying to put yourself in cotton wool, but you actually have the freedom to choose how you want to be now. And that can be directly related into performance then, because if you had a bad game or a good game, I heard you talk before where you said positive or negative, I want to come back to neutral.
yes.
And so, but yeah, that's I'm literally one chapter in and I'm already going on a tangent. So
Uh, no, also another thing which is very pertinent to the conversation is if I've had a really bad spell to a batter, that stays in my mind for. It's I am an individual of that sort, but I tend to forget the good that I've done or the good spells that I've bowled to the very same player. So when I'm going to a new game, I should realize that's a new day and there is a 50% chance for you to do well or for her to, get on top of you. So sometimes you kind of forget about the good you've done, and it's really difficult to work on that part and tell yourself that you're good enough. And I guess the videos and all of visualizations are something that really help you in that aspect. So I don't think I've made the blog public. So my sister, I wouldn't say I was not in the real good frame of mind, but then I was slightly disappointed not to be playing. So my sister sent me a video of a few good balls. They were all taken from the ICC website, and she sent me a compiled video of all the balls that I had bowled, and they were available online. And then she put a very nice song to it. And before I got down from the bus, before the second T20I, in 20 minutes space, I had seen that video 100 times. I'm sure more than that. I kept it on loop. And through the bus, I was just listening to that. And my phone was connected to Jemmy's speaker as well whilst coming back. And the song started playing on it. And she said, wow, what song? Then I showed her the video. And then I realized such small little things make so much impact on you, not just as a player or an athlete. I'm sure it will work in any walk of life. So for every time the video was being sent on a WhatsApp group, because my father says that video got sent to him in 100 WhatsApp chats and all of that. So I said, for every time that the video was sent to you, this video of me bowling that ball was sent to you, I might have seen 10 times the video that my sister sent to me. So I think that's how the universe works.
Absolutely. That's a great story, great relation. And in terms of equality is something we speak about a lot in terms of equal opportunity moving forward. And I know it's a hot topic in India at the moment with the IPL or no IPL. Even over here, they're talking about payment and making sure everyone's equal. Not so much about what's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, but what do you think in India is the next step to getting more girls playing the game and then more opportunities to actually make a living out of it?
Um, I've always stressed upon it wherever I've spoken. I've actually written a Twitter thread also on it. For me, uh, investing in grassroots level is so important. After, like I said, I mentioned after 2017 World Cup, there was huge influx of young kids coming up, in academies, getting registered and playing cricket. As a 5-year-old kid, or in the 90s, I don't think any 5-year-old kid, I mean, they could dream of playing cricket for India, yes, of course, but for them to pursue the sport professionally would be so difficult, because firstly there were no opportunities on those lines. But now I'm very sure that a 5-year-old kid, if kid, boy or girl, I mean to say, if they want to pursue cricket, uh, with the girl in contention, I'm very sure the parents will support her dream that they want to go ahead and play cricket for India, pursue cricket professionally. And when we talk about having major leagues in India, my only point is, the more women's cricket happens on telly, and if I'm going to be watching a set superstar in women's cricket every day on telly, I can convince my parents that, see, she's playing cricket and I'm able to watch her play cricket every day, and why cannot I be that person? So if I can see it, I can be it. So that's the whole point of getting these leagues to start in India. Even with the domestic matches, many matches of ours got televised, and they were so close. The matches were so close; they were neck to neck with the net run rate. So I think uh, getting to invest. The right way to go about things is by investing more in grassroots level cricket, and then, like I said, having all the matches televised and get those kids watching cricket on telly and having their idols, women cricketers, on TV, which was not the case with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think you've played a huge role, and the cohort and the team that you're with now in helping build Indian cricket, and particularly females playing cricket, not just in India too, but it's all over the world. And we all know Indians, expats, they're everywhere, particularly here in Australia. I'm one of them. And it's been really
I
cool
think
to
all you
see.
one of our own. So yes.
I feel like I can say that. We are everywhere. And particularly in Melbourne here, it's been really amazing. Go down to the local cricket club, and the amount of Indian, Sri Lankan, even Pakistani girls playing cricket and having people to look up to. And I'm coaching a couple at the moment. I asked them, who do you support? Are you supporting India or Australia? And she
Oh, wow.
next session she turns up. She's 7-year-old. She turns up in an Indian shirt, and
Oh, yes.
so
I like her.
I think the impact you're having is quite incredible, and I'm really looking forward to the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years to see it continue growing. And for our final question today, which you probably know what it is given you've listened to a few of them, it's who is Shikha at her best?
Uh, Shika at her best is someone who's inquisitive. Uh, I I would love to evolve with every game I play and get better with every game I play. So Shika is someone who's inquisitive. Shika is someone who's humble, sincere, I would say. I would love to be, grounded and continuously do my work, because I think that's my identity. And Shikha is someone who is happy and successful in terms of being happy in those small moments. If she's able to stay in the present and not carry the baggage of the past and think too much about the present, about the future, I think that is Shikha. And also, I mean, just to finish it off, whenever we get asked as to what would be our greatest achievement as a cricketer, all of us would want a World Cup trophy uh, in with us, and we would want to be World Cup winners. Stuff of dreams, yes, but then along the way, if we can inspire one small little kid or a youngster to really take up the sport because they were inspired by what we did on the field, that is when your life as a cricketer is complete, and that is when you've done justice to what you started off in the first place, started off to achieve in the first place. A huge believer of a quote by ICR Thomas. He said, when I retire or after my playing days, if I'm just remembered as a basketballer, then I failed. So it's just the same if I'm remembered as a good teammate, as someone who was humble, who was approachable, and was loyal. I'll be more than happy with that.
That's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. And to finish off, I know you write a lot of poetry and I follow you on Instagram as well, and I thoroughly enjoy it. But there was one that I absolutely loved, and I'll read it out. And it says, when you stumble, make it part of your dance. Have faith and carry on, because you can't always wait for another chance. And I think that encapsulates what you've done and your career so far. You've had some stumbling blocks, but you've quite clearly made it part of your dance. It's part of who you are now, and you can't always wait for another chance. You're going after your dreams and inspiring others to do the same. So thank you for everything you've done, and I'm looking forward to continuing to see how you go in the future.
Thanks a lot, Bobby. Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was fun talking to you. When you sent me across the questions, I was like, wow, these questions are so deep. And it's really nice to talk to. I mean, you hardly find people at the same frequency. Yeah. And it's nice to connect with you at that frequency. And I guess we can just finish this off by saying today, you are you, and that's enough. So just be what you are and take pride in that. Yes.
Brilliant. Thanks, Shikha. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to continue to be part of the Inside Edge project, hit subscribe or leave a comment below. We're also on all major social media platforms. I look forward to having you along next time.